The USFL Gambling Podcast, USFL Playoff Reaction episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Bird Dog Shorts. Dominate the summer with an amazing pair of shorts and a free Eddie-style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool. Once again, that is birddogs.com/pool.
Hey, this is Eric Metcalf. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Football is a unique American experience. A game described by one turn-of-the-century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. It's America, Jack. You know how to play winning time those football?
Being played in the United States Football League.
Oh my God! Quarterback is toast.
We sometimes forget that football, being the consummate team sport, is a great deal more successful when you do play as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL.
America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television.
That is football.
I'm like, spring football is going to work in America.
You play to win the game. And now it is time for our USFL report.
And we are back on the USFL Gambling Podcast Playoff Reaction Show. What a fucking weekend we had as year two of the rebirth since 86 of the USFL playoffs was absolutely I thought it was fantastic. I cannot wait to break these games down and talk about the Freedom Cup that we got going on this Saturday at Tom Benson Stadium. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, well, my name is Kobe Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Pretend it never happened and get along with your life, Patty C.
Sage wisdom.
Woo! I guess I got to introduce you, but man, I love this league. I really love this league. And I'm excited. I'm almost sad. I mean, we still got CFL. I'm watching CFL every week, but, I always want to be watching football, Patty C.
Yeah, we're getting used to this year-round thing, but USFL
always been year-round.
Is special.
Always been year-round for me. Even when they didn't have the leagues going, or back in the day it was NFL Europe, but like,
Colby watched the USFL every spring for 30 years, waiting for it to come back.
Definitely true. Definitely true. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's go. Let's go, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, you got to just love this league, though, man. I'm telling you.
Can we have more different games?
What do you mean?
Game 1 on Saturday versus game 2 on Sunday.
Whew.
A slightly different viewing experience.
Well, first off, shout out to hope you tailed me on the on the picks. Total wise, ain't shit. But as far as picks, also I had a DFS lineup that cashed for some money.
There you go.
But Patty C, Saturday's action, the Panthers. Whew, EJ Perry, yeah. That guy's a stud. And it made me wonder the whole time watching him play. And, he didn't get that many reps the game prior. He looked like shit 2 weeks ago, right? But that was his first start. And he also didn't have that many reps because he wasn't with the team that long.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, to know that this guy was just sitting out here in the XFL and the CFL and the USFL he was just sitting at home for the past 8 weeks?
The numbers don't necessarily, say an insane performance by him, but as he passing the eye test more, decent numbers.
All I know is not many teams have been able to pass on the Maulers like that.
That's true. I guess when you consider the competition, it makes it look that much better.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to when we're going to talk about another quarterback, but Patty C, I was impressed with the Panthers' performance. Ray Horton, I thought, almost cost me the game on a fake punt in the fourth quarter, but I was impressed by, honestly, I was impressed by Troy Williams and the way the Maulers offense, they got down, I think, 17-10, and I thought, man, they're going to lose this fucking game. They've been messing around. They've been the better team for the first half. They're going to lose this game. And no, they battled back, got it to 17-17. Then, I mean, obviously blew it with that 59-yard field goal. That, in my opinion, that Stallions-Maulers games, I know there was some tough calls. I'm sorry, not Stallions-Maulers. Panthers-Maulers. I know there's some tough calls. And I know Michigan Panther fans were DMing me saying that they were mad. But I thought it was...
At you or at the refs?
At the refs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I honestly thought this was the best USFL game in the rebirth that I'd seen. As far as back and forth, maybe the Freedom Cup last year.
Yeah.
But at least this season.
Yeah.
This game was back and forth.
High stakes. Yeah. And never one team really pulling away by more than a possession than the other team. Pretty much a deadlock each game. Leads changing even up to the last couple minutes of the game. Surprising that Pittsburgh was able to put together a drive after Michigan took a late lead. That is not Pittsburgh's forte.
That's what I'm saying. The way they battled back even in overtime.
Yeah,
you
Michigan,
told me,
then immediately put together a quick drive to send it to overtime.
Yes, and that was once again, man, the conservative defensive approach drove me absolutely fucking crazy.
Prevents you from winning.
Yes, but in overtime, look, we've seen the Maulers struggle with a yard all year, including this game on the fake punt, where the fake punt and then even the 4th and goal. They couldn't get it in from 1 yard. They ended up getting a false start, which I think helped them. Then on fourth and goal from the 6, they score.
Yeah. 3 attempts inside the 1.
Yeah, it
couldn't get it. And then, he penalizes back to the 6.
All year, 1 yard has been an issue. But then in overtime, I'm freaking out. I'm like, there's no way. Their offense doesn't know how to go, 2 yards for a score or 3 yards for a score. Well, I was wrong. They were 2 for 2. And they got it done. And they got very lucky that Reggie Corbin fumbled the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But, wow, I mean, the Maulers, the defense, though, got cooked a little bit on a couple passes.
I mean, when you look at the stat line, you got to be more impressed with Michigan that game than you do Pitt. Now, I'm not saying, Pitt, based on having beaten them soundly twice before, third time, it's tough to beat hammer a team 3 times. But still, 410 total yards versus 291. Pittsburgh did own the time of possession.
They had a fumble. That was almost a fumble return for a touchdown. I mean, I'm saying they forced a fumble. They also had an interception. Pittsburgh's defense stepped up.
Yeah, they made some plays.
Like usual, but they did get cooked on the deep ball a couple times. Yeah. That made it super interesting. But Perry, man, I think Michigan might have something. Bobby Hebert 2.0, Patty C.
370 passing yards.
That's what I'm saying. That doesn't happen
baby.
Against that defense.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know. And I'm going to talk about it, but we're going to get more reaction in a second because I want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast, USFL Playoff Reaction Show is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make it look good, all right? Bird Dogs is it's like Alex McGough shorts, all right?
Look, getting a little chub just thinking about it right now.
Bird Dog stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and the leg, giving you a truly, truly sculpted look. And they fit better than regular shorts because regular shorts are made of stiff, restricting cotton. All right. Bird Dog fixed this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khakis, but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice all that movement. Bird Dog also uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Say you're going to be at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium catching the Freedom Cup this Saturday. You're going to need, all right, because I know how humid Ohio gets in the summer. You're going to need some of those Bird Dogs so your ass don't smell.
It could be the dead of winter. The amount of pressure that's going to be going on in that game is going to have you sweating, especially down there. You better get them Bird Dogs.
You're going to be smelling like Nick Nolte in that mugshot if you don't fucking if you don't put some Bird Dogs on it. Go to birddogs.com/pool. And enter the promo code POOL for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. They're just going to give you a tumbler for your holidays, for your summer. All right, that's birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We can promise you that. All right, we are back on the USFL Gambling Podcast. Patty C, I want your takeaways, though, on we both locked up. Or no, my lock was the other one, but I still bet on Pittsburgh -3. Holy shit, were we fortunate they win by 4. Talk about a roller coaster. Talk about a roller coaster wager. Now, I had the under 2, and the under got cooked. But
well, I will say you looked a lot smarter than me when I said that the sure bet was Pittsburgh to cover 3 than Birmingham.
I told you, man, with that offense, dude.
What happened with West Hills, though? We'll get to that game, I guess, but that seems like it was a factor. Did he get injured?
I don't think so.
He just did. They stopped feeding him. It didn't look like he was even.
They were getting blown out
late in the game. I guess what is he not capable of being a scat back when they need him?
Well, dude, I mean,
he generated 0 fantasy points, which, by the way,
he didn't get injured.
I did win despite his pathetic fantasy performance. So fuck you all.
Oh well, I don't think I joined that group. I was going for some real money, but I should have joined the group.
You know what? I do it for the fans, Colby. I don't do it for not some hot shot.
Well, I've came in first place before. It's a feeling only
hot
a few
shot
can say.
Colby Dant.
But Patty C, hold on. Let's before we dive into the game in Birmingham at Penetrope Stadium, let's talk about this Maulers team, because they're in the Freedom Cup. They are in the Freedom Cup, and much like when we preview, I know USFL fans hate the XFL, and the XFL hates the USFL to a certain extent. But I also host the XFL Gambling Podcast. Now, the league did everything in the XFL to help the Arlington Renegades.
Oh, the Arlington Renegades.
They made trades that made no sense to help that team.
Sure.
And they ended up winning their championship against DC, even though we know DC was the best team.
Sure.
You have a scenario where the league did not help the Pittsburgh Maulers, but I'm kind of thinking that it's certainly possible. They're one game away from having a 6-6 season and winning the Freedom Cup.
Yeah.
With that defense, we'll see. It's going to be interesting, but what's your takeaway? Ray Horton, year 1. They won one game a year ago. Now they're in the Freedom Cup.
What was there a playoff game? Because Arlington Renegades went 4-6 regular season, and then finished 6-6 after their championship.
I believe
game, right?
so. I believe so.
They caught a lot.
It might have even been 5-7. I don't even remember.
I think they might have had a losing record. Either way, Pittsburgh would be 6-6 if they win the championship here. Also, not a great look, but bound to happen when half the teams in the league go to the playoffs.
I looked up this history of back in the AFL and NFL. You had similar scenarios when that league first happened. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I don't think
it's going to happen when you have
it's not a
league
great
that doesn't have, of course, but when you don't have that many teams, they were 4-6 in the regular season, and they ended up winning both games in the playoffs to go to 6-6. So that is the Dallas Renegades.
Yeah.
So
identical situation. So based on that, if Pittsburgh does win, you can't really say one league's format is any better than the other leagues. But they both have 8 teams, right?
Yeah, that's just going to happen.
Yeah,
that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, the league didn't help out. They didn't take Perry. They didn't take Mark Thompson and said, here, Pittsburgh, have him for a linebacker that has 1 tackle on the season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't let them go out and sign like the best Vic Bolden, who was the MVP of the Freedom Cup a year ago. This was
who do you think is going to be less likely to do that, Moose Johnson or The Rock?
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. All right, look, we want to recap the game that happened at Penetrope Stadium, but I want to tell you also that the USFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Best Ball Mania is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on MLB player props. They have all that good stuff when football season comes around. Even for USFL, they have player props. So hop on over there. So many ways to win on Underdog and active in so many different states. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Patty C, there were rumblings that Canton might have their own team because you can buy a season ticket package for next year in Canton. And the question is are they doing year 3 at the hub? Or are they going to have a Canton franchise, which, I was tagged in this. You were tagged in this, I think. The Canton Bulldogs should be that team.
Hello.
They should be that team. I know some people were saying it should be the Canton Blitz. No, that name's terrible.
I mean, is the Canton Bulldogs, they're one of the first 2 or 3, original pro football teams of all time.
You think they should just go random and just name them something? Or
No, if
Bulldogs.
you're doing Canton, you better do the Bulldogs.
Yeah, come on. Let's do this. Expand Canton Bulldogs.
No.
Moose Johnson, call 1-800-PICK Dundee. I'm here for you. And
That said,
yeah.
I know everyone, of course, wants the butts in the stands. Fans make a big difference. We gave NBA a really hard time.
the NBA?
NBA when there weren't any fans during
do they even have fans?
Right. Well,
It's like two franchises.
Right, we're
like
continuing to
Portland
give
and
the
Oklahoma
NBA
City.
a hard time.
Yeah.
But either way, fans add a lot, and we all want to see them there.
That's to me the next step they need to take.
But I'll say this: if it doesn't happen, if the USFL is taking their time with it, I don't care.
Well, I can tell you this. You make a good case for the fact that they should maybe expand first, because knowing that EJ Perry was just sitting there, knowing that Dakota Prokop just got cut, and you're like, wait, the last time he played in a game, he looked really good.
Yeah.
That means you could find other teams.
Dude, there is no shortage of talent at that level.
There's more college football teams playing today than ever before. There's over 700 college football team programs.
Yeah. You have probably in any given year nowadays 5 elite quarterbacks, right? 5 tier 2 quarterbacks, right? And then everyone else is the same.
Well, and clearly you're seeing that, to me, scouting is at a low, because Alex McGough was a backup quarterback.
At Seattle, right?
Yes. Dakota Prokop. No, it was a backup quarterback last year in the USFL.
In the USFL, yeah. That too.
So I'm not saying that Skip Holtz's fault. They won the championship with Jamar Smith, and he's good.
He is good.
But clearly we have not done our homework on clearly something, and knowing that EJ Perry's just sitting there and he plays like that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, now who knows if he could do it all year long, but I can tell you this, Dakota Prokop just got cut. And I'm wondering why, because if you watch the film, I think you see a decent quarterback.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I think there is room, even though there is a CFL, an ELF, a XFL. There's clearly room.
100%.
Yeah.
McLeod Thompson came out of the CFL. Who is the Philadelphia Stars?
Brian Scott's in the CFL now, and he's not even starting on the Argos.
Yeah.
So
at that level, I will say I think McLeod,
PJ Walker's still in the NFL. He's on the Bears. Tyler Heineke is
Taylor Heineke was a backup.
Taylor Heineke, yeah.
But no, who's a Birmingham quarterback? I'm drawing a blank.
Alex McGough.
McGough, I do think should get a crack at the
No,
pros,
of course. Man. But my point is the scouting. The reason why we should have this is Kavonte Turpin popped off screen. This guy was in the ELF. He was in the USFL.
Yeah.
He pops off screen the same way Alex McGough does, the same way Mark Thompson does.
And in the league, so many, just like NFL, NBA, so much of what gets a player cut or not cut is system. Okay, you know the system. You've been here for 5 years. You can help us out. Even though this guy is more talented than you, right? We don't want you because your contract is locked in, and you know the system well.
Yeah,
you're a reliable backup.
So to me, if they were to expand, I know some say, well, the USFL and XFL should merge. I'm okay with them competing. I don't want them to merge. Now,
yeah, I agree.
Could you add teams? I think you could. I know people would say, well, look, you already got this type of. I'm like, what do you mean? If EJ Perry was sitting there, not on a roster, and you were able to do that with them, then after one game, and I think you can use plenty of those examples.
Yeah, we just saw Josh Love be what he was for an entire season. If you're saying, okay, well, you have a quarterback of Josh Love's caliber, therefore, don't expand it because you don't want to take anyone else on. Yeah. And then lo and behold, you just bring some guy in and he crushes.
Troy Williams wasn't on a roster last year. He's in the Freedom Cup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can go one by one on this.
There's plenty of room for the league to expand.
Yeah.
I would take that too. I will take either one, but we want both.
Yeah.
We want butts we want a home field, but we also want league expansion.
Yes, definitely true. Okay, now let's get to this game at Penetrope Stadium, because Patty C, that was my number one lock, and boy, I didn't even sweat. I didn't even sweat.
Over early.
First drive of the game, the receiver falls down, interception by the Stallions, and I think the Breakers took a 7-3 lead, but after that, goodbye. And let me tell you, this was the first game where I thought it was like Kavonte Turpin to me. Alex McGough, I'm like, he's better than everyone in the league.
Yeah.
And sometimes you saw that last year with Kavonte Turpin. He's a Pro Bowler in the NFL.
Yeah.
I am.
He's just a step ahead of everyone.
Sold on this guy being now. They had 553 yards of offense. They averaged 9 yards a play. This is this is a team that they've played twice. You would think the third time would be the hardest. Not the case. They were dominant. Every play was like a highlight film, man. 9.9 yards per pass. You know what I mean? Like Sternberger is a pro to me. McGough is a pro, and Shark Dog made an appearance. He's back. He played good.
Nice.
I mean, dude, this team looked dominant. What'd you make of this game? Because this was just an ass whooping. Even the points, even if you look at that, the way that the game shook out is, New Orleans scored 15 in the fourth. This was I repeat, this was a 40-7 game
after 3 quarters.
Yeah, 40-7.
That is an absolute ass kicking. Look, McGough, he's a fun interview, by the way.
4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 310 yards, only 10 incompletions. And he also rushed for 84 yards and a touchdown, 10.5 yards a rush, Petty C. Holy shit, I haven't seen a dominating performance like that all year.
Is he the best quarterback since the rebirth of the USFL?
In any of these leagues? Probably. CFL probably has some.
I mean,
World League had some.
Who's the spring
NFL
league?
Europe / World League had some guys. Brad Johnson and Delhomme.
Yeah. Tommy Maddox was
in the XFL. Yeah.
But who was anyway, Alex McGough. I'm impressed with it. Like he's a good interview. But he talks about extending plays,
Scott
getting out of the pocket.
In there. Yeah.
There you go. We've had some guys, but we'll see if McGough can be that. No, who's the guy who's like the spring league king right now? He was the USFL or XFL MVP, I want to say, at least 2 years.
Jordan
Tamu.
Yeah, I mean he had a great season after struggling.
He had a good season, but look, I would say
like this.
McGough's better.
Like this.
Yeah,
of course, dude.
Jordan Tamu is a rich man's Kenji Bahar.
Yeah,
Alex McGough is like Kenny Pickett or better. To me, he looks better than Kenny Pickett because he's got better wheels.
Yeah, dude, I'm really impressed. I don't know how he's not on an NFL roster, but I want to see him in Birmingham forever. You know what I mean? Like I know they have Jamar Smith too. They have Sloter on this roster too. So that's another one.
Has a fucking eagle eye for talent.
Well, dude, and they've been doing this without Bo Scarborough.
Yeah.
All year now.
And Shark Dog. They just got superstars like chilling and they're still dominating.
Marlon Williams, no Vic Bolden, and boom, Sternberger. Davis and Kane at the wideout spots.
Let me ask you
Michael Petway,
I know. The new league, DC United, MLS is a comparable, like from a TV rating standpoint. DC United won the first 2 years and lost in the championship the third year. At what point is it bad for the league for Birmingham to keep winning?
I mean, I think you're building a fan base right now in Birmingham more so than anywhere. So and they look good, man. I don't think it's a bad thing.
And the fans in the South love football, and
I like
Alabama's
that fact
always
that
needed a team.
I like that New Orleans and Birmingham has played in the Southern Championship to get to the Freedom Cup the past 2 years, and that's starting to develop now. If they go to their hubs, I think it's even better.
Yeah,
sign me up for it.
Yeah, I think you don't mess with it. Let the look. If we got the Green Bay Packers of Vince Lombardi era and Skip Holtz from year one of the USFL, let it ride, baby. Let it ride.
Let it ride, buddy. So, Patty C, we have our Freedom Cup. So let's talk about this for a second. And I know we got Thursday's show with NC Nick where we'll talk and do our DFS and everything. DFS rosters, we'll give them away. But this is a rematch back in week 4. This is what I find very interesting. Back in week 4, the Maulers lost to Birmingham to move to 1-3, and Birmingham was 3-1, right? Now, Birmingham had to have a kick return for a touchdown with like 3 minutes left to win this game because the Maulers were winning.
Yeah.
And you look back at that matchup, and they really did a great job. The Maulers held that offense to 281 yards of offense. The Maulers had more yards, 311. They also got 6.3 yards per play compared to Birmingham's 4.7. That was with Alex McGough.
That's astounding.
That's what I'm saying. That was with Alex McGough, and they were right there. They were right there to win the game.
And much like this playoff game, I would be willing to bet that most of the games that Pittsburgh lost and won, but certainly the ones they lost, they probably didn't outgain their opponent. So for them to outgain Birmingham in a game is kind of wild.
And when you look back at McGough, you know what he did? He struggled that game. Just completed 58% of his passes, 5.4 yards a pass, Patty C. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now, he did run the ball 48 yards on the ground and a touchdown, but he was their leading rusher because Marable wasn't that successful against the Maulers defense. That means, and I think Sternberger was held to just 1 catch for 5 yards. Makes for a interesting.
And again, Pittsburgh, a type of team that can play in, a close game or certainly from ahead, lean on the run, milk the clock, play great defense. You don't have to get desperate and start creating turnover, throwing picks, trying to catch up. That's a good spot for them. If Birmingham has trouble moving the ball on them, and what do you think caused Birmingham to have trouble moving the ball on Pittsburgh's defense?
I just think it's the best defense, and I think their pass rush can get after. They don't need to blitz.
Yeah,
that pass rush can get after
Sagapolo, Olive Sagapolo,
and Boogie Roberts.
Yeah. And they drop their both of their linebackers are excellent in coverage. Was it Casino? And then obviously Reuben Foster. And then they have great players in the defensive backfield. The other thing about them is obviously special teams. It's funny because
that's how they lost the game. They gave up. Birmingham had the kick return for a touchdown.
Yeah. Now, I would say typically defensively on special teams, they're pretty good. They get after the ball, but they return the ball well. They kick the ball well, but when they're trying to convert like they did on that fake punt, anytime they're actually in possession of the ball on offense prior to the play starting, things are going to go bad.
I actually question in-game management. I know that sounds crazy because they're in the championship game. So who am I? I'm just a fucking idiot talking to you. But I've wondered that all year. Some of the 4th and inches where they've kicked field goals or they've gone to the shotgun on 4th and inches and they get stuffed, or like they did with the fake punt. They had so many. How many false starts can you get? Also, like at timely situations. Yeah. It's amazing that Pittsburgh won that game in that capacity because they kept getting snap infractions. The quarterback or the center kept double
to convert on 4th down at the end of the game.
Yes, man. I mean, they had I don't even know what they're doing. They had a 4th and 1. They end up getting a 4th and 6 and converting, but they had a 2nd and 1. They go from the gun. They lose a yard.
Yeah.
Then they try this gimmick shit, this like jet sweep. Right? It's like, dude, you are a yard away.
Yeah, you're a whole game.
Troy Williams is big.
Fullbacks.
Yes. Yeah. And you have Groshek and you have London. Just move
Stocky.
forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, this begs the question: what makes a good coach? Is it pregame preparation or is it in-game? Management. Clearly, Horton is not the greatest in-game manager, but
he's in the championship game.
They come into the game with a great game plan, and so
true, and that's going to make it super exciting for Thursday night show, folks. Subscribe where you can watch it live on YouTube. Just type in USFL Gambling Podcast, subscribe, and then you'll get the notification. We're going to be live Thursday talking about the Freedom Cup. We're going to give out, obviously who we like to win, with the points, the total. We'll talk about the total. We'll give away our DFS lineups and invite you to come play DFS with us. So subscribe to the USFL Gambling Podcast. Patty, see, we only got one USFL game left in year 2. You want 400 teams. What cities? Give me them right now. Because you think if they're going to do 1, they're going to do 4.
Give me San Diego. I don't know. You give me some others.
DC, but they won't do it because of the Defenders.
Not until the Defenders are gone.
What about Raleigh, North Carolina?
Too much
they're going to go west.
East.
They're going to go west.
Yeah.
What about Northeast, though? They could go Northeast still, right?
Could go Northeast. There's room there.
But if they go west, I think you go. They
Denver
own
Gold.
No, you got to go Oakland. They've been robbed
Oakland,
of all their teams.
San Diego, Oakland.
Yep. Then you probably want to go.
Maybe even Portland.
No, I don't know how much they like football, but their soccer fans are fantastic. So maybe I'm thinking Arizona,
Oregon State,
Arizona.
I
think Arizona. You go Phoenix,
Arizona,
San Diego, and Oakland. You're covering 2 areas where teams have been taken out of, and you're also covering an area that's growing in football. So, and then at number 4, you could go Denver. You also could go Texas team again. You could go Gunslingers again. You could go Oklahoma City is an interesting one because they don't have a pro football team. And we see how the Thunder are.
Sure.
Oklahoma State. They never
nuts for it.
So I think you go Oklahoma. Here's the problem is you can't go both out. Well, I guess if you go Arizona Wranglers and Oklahoma Outlaws again, then you have those two. You got to make up a San Diego name.
Yeah.
And then you got to go. But we were talking Canton Bulldogs. If one of the teams is the Canton Bulldogs, they can't be in the West.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, right now it's north and south. So what do you do?
So this is what I think you do. Then is you have the Generals, Maulers, and
Stars in
the north, and you got to have one northern team.
Yeah,
either DC, Boston, New York City.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Generals is New York City.
What about we said General, Stars, Pittsburgh, and then what about Detroit or Michigan?
No, because that's going to be with Canton and Chicago, the Blitz.
Yeah,
and one other team.
Okay, so like a North Central.
Yeah,
Now
the one other team, in my opinion, should be in the Central. Milwaukee, baby.
Milwaukee. How about this?
Milwaukee or Buffalo?
St. Louis, but XFL has St. Louis.
Yeah,
right?
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's
great.
Or Buffalo.
Buffalo's great too.
Yeah. And then in the North, we still need one franchise, though. Unless you go Raleigh-Durham and put them in the North. That's you just go Washington Federals. You own it. You battle it.
You go Washington. What about hey? We're out here.
Feds are the greatest fucking name.
Feds are great.
Come on, they gotta go back.
If
Those
you're
uniforms
gonna
are fire.
go like with the DC national theme, at least get a little fucking
originality
thing that people actually hate about it. Don't go Capitals. Don't make it this Mickey Mouse shit.
Federals is better than Caps too.
We are the Feds. We're gonna come and bust you and take your money. Fuck you. You hate us.
Those uniforms are fire.
Yeah,
that's fire. Don't change those uniforms.
What about this though? LA Express.
Of course that works.
LA fucking Express. I want to go to some games, Colby.
True. But if you're gonna put the Canton, what are they gonna be playing Canton every weekend?
It's true.
I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Folks, subscribe to the USFL Gambling Podcast. We'll be here to talk about all the news, all the good times. We love everything about this league and Moose Johnson, the Freedom Cup, all that good shit. And we're excited for it. Give us a follow at USFL Gambling on Twitter. Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. And NC Nick's also on Twitter at NC__NICK. Subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll be back Thursday on the road to the Freedom Cup. This is the USFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Shoot.